Five more things we can't comprehend. Number 5. Universe. They learned more about celestial mechanics through research. Astronomers in the 20th century became increasingly fascinated with the fine-tuning of the universe. All physical constants colluded to create the perfect conditions for life on Earth, so much so that the perfect calibration seemed beyond coincidence. If the laws of chemical bonding or gravity had been even slightly different to their actual values, the Earth would spiral into the Sun or worse, would never have formed at all. Number 4. Quantum particles. Once one enters the realm of subatomic particles, however, the Newtonian physics on which we intuitively base our lives breaks down. Many will have heard the term uncertainty principle in relation to quantum mechanics. This principle posits that certain pairs of parameters describing a particle cannot be precisely known at the same time, not even in theory. The primary example usually given to illustrate this is the position and momentum, velocity times mass, of a particle. The explanation is steeped in mathematics, but in summary, the more precisely one of these properties is measured, the more uncertain the other becomes. Number 3. Partners' thoughts. Odds are, a majority of readers who have been in a romantic relationship of any duration have had this thought multiple times. As all of us can attest to from personal experience, men and women possess differences in their psychological makeup that can baffle the opposite gender on occasion. A part of this difference is due to hormonal and physiological differences, while a large part debatably arises from social conditioning during childhood. While it is important to note that differences between individuals are often larger than differences between the sexes, as a general rule our personalities and psychology are shaped, directly or indirectly, by our chromosomal makeup. As a result, the reason he is reluctant to discuss his day, and she insists nothing is wrong when she is obviously upset, the other half will never truly know. Number 2. Free will. This is a debate in which every punter has their own horse, but for which no decisive conclusion will ever be reached. To explain why I feel I can make such a bold assertion, I iterate my reasoning as follows. If we are machines, if the human mind is solely a byproduct of brain chemistry, then it is invalid to suggest free will could be a possibility. As complex a system as human psychology may be, the brain is nevertheless subject to the laws of physics, with each neural action determined by past experience and current stimuli. The arguments commonly used to escape this disheartening conclusion invoke one of two wildcards: the soul, or multiverse theory. Existence of the soul is understandably a near universal belief amongst the religious. Soul is said to be an immutable and eternal part of our beings that is connected to God and the afterlife, and that bypasses the laws of physics. Certainly, if this is true, free will is possible in theory. But therein lies the rub. Because the soul is defined as unrestrained by physical law, it is impossible for us, in our physical world, to ever prove or disprove its existence. All belief boils down to a matter of faith in either direction. The same can most probably be said for multiverse theory. This theory posits that every quantum interaction spawns a new universe, so that literally every single potential eventuality has or will occur in one universe, somewhere. Confined as we are to a single reality, it is hard to imagine how this theory could ever be proven. That said, even if it did turn out to be true, if one makes every possible choice simultaneously at every junction, would that be considered free will? Or would it be determination of a different bent? Number 1. Evil, devil. At first glance this question might seem out of place. After all, as humans we all have an intuitive gut feeling for good and evil. However, once you begin to analyze more deeply, the threads of logic begin to unfurl. The most conservative definition of evil would be to willingly and habitually inflict pain and harm on others, for no necessary reward other than their suffering. This definition would fit the common perception of the Christian devil, so would appear to be appropriate. However, by this narrow definition some of history's greatest villains would not be classed as evil. Adolf Hitler, for example, encouraged and organized the persecution of Jews with no regard to their human dignity. However, their torture was not its own goal. His goals were forward-looking and based on a misguided notion of racial purity and patriotism. Certainly he would not have considered himself to be evil. Would we be happy then with relieving Hitler of his evil status? I am sure most readers would emphatically say no. In that case, how do we widen the definition of evil to encompass people such as him? To pursue one's goals with no regard to the welfare or dignity of others? Not quite. Hitler doubtless had due concern for the happiness of those German citizens he chose to recognize. So then, to willingly hurt innocent parties in the pursuit of a goal? Once the definition has been widened this far, many upstanding military commanders who were heroes of their nations become suspect. Without going further down the rabbit hole here, I hope the above serves to show that evil can likely never be satisfactorily defined. We know that people like Hitler are evil, we just do, but attempting to explain that conviction leads to confusion.